Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Imagine holding a piece of stone in your hand. It feels ancient, solid, but what if that stone was once a soft piece of cloth? And what if that cloth held the secret to how people 4,000 years ago thought about life, death, and the soul? That's not a fantasy. That's the story of an unassuming fragment of twisted fiber, nestled within a simple clay bowl for 4 millennia, which has cast a brilliant new light on the ancient world. In the quiet of an archaeological laboratory in Israel, a discovery of immense significance was made. 4,000-year-old lamp wicks, among the oldest ever found, unearthed from a Bronze Age cemetery near the modern-day city of Yehud. These aren't just scraps of old cloth. They are time capsules, whispering intimate secrets of an era of profound transformation. The story of how they survived is almost as incredible as what they have to tell us. Archaeology is often a discipline of durable remnants: stone, pottery, metal. Organic materials like textiles and fiber rarely make it, especially in the damp Mediterranean climate of Israel, where microorganisms usually erase all traces. This makes the discovery at the Nui Ephraim cemetery nothing short of a miracle. During a large rescue excavation, archaeologists uncovered a vast burial ground from what's known as the Intermediate Bronze Age, around 2200 to 2000 BCE. They found over 200 tombs containing the usual offerings for the dead: pottery, weapons, and jewelry. Among these were simple, open-style clay oil lamps. It was only later, back in the lab, that the real treasure was found. Tucked inside 3 of these lamps were the preserved remains of wicks. One was found complete. For the researchers, it was a discovery they never expected to make in this region. The secret to their survival was a rare process of fossilization called permineralization. Over the millennia, mineral-rich water seeped into the soil and into the lamps. As the water evaporated, it left behind mineral deposits, in this case calcite. Molecule by molecule, these minerals replaced the original organic fibers of the cloth, creating a perfect, stone-like cast that preserved the intricate texture of the woven fabric. The wicks were frozen in time. So what do these fossilized threads illuminate about the past? First, the technology of light itself. The invention of the oil lamp was as revolutionary in its time as the light bulb was in ours. For the first time, humanity had a controllable, portable, and long-lasting source of light that was far more efficient than a torch. This simple technology fundamentally altered human existence, extending the day and allowing work and social life to continue after sunset. By the Bronze Age, the tech had been refined. The lamps found at Nui Ephraim were wheel-made ceramic bowls. Potters had learned that by pinching the rim, they could create a spout to hold the wick securely, preventing it from falling into the oil and going out. The lamps holding the ancient wicks were a specific style from this era, featuring not one, but multiple spouts. This allowed for several wicks to be lit at once, creating a much brighter light. The fuel was typically olive oil, a staple of the local economy. The wick, through capillary action, would draw the oil up to the flame, allowing it to burn at a constant, controlled rate. And this discovery gives us the earliest direct, physical evidence for the use of textile wicks in the entire region. But the story gets even more fascinating when we look at what the wicks were made of. Microscopic analysis revealed they weren't made from raw fibers, but from scraps of finished linen cloth. The clear patterns of a woven fabric were visible. This was not just a wick, it was a recycled textile. This single detail opens a huge window into the economy and values of the Bronze Age. Linen was not a cheap, disposable commodity. It was one of the most valuable textiles of the ancient world, the product of a long and incredibly labor-intensive process. It began with cultivating the flax plant. The plants were pulled up by the roots to get the longest fibers. They were then left in water to rot, a process called retting, which separated the soft fibers from the woody core. Then the stalks were beaten, combed, and finally, the fine fibers were spun into thread by hand before being woven into cloth on a loom. Given this arduous process, linen was highly prized. In Egypt, it was a symbol of purity and light, used to clothe the elite and wrap mummies. In the Levant during this period, linen was the primary textile, making it extremely valuable. The fact that people were cutting up old, worn-out linen garments to make lamp wicks is a powerful statement. The researchers even found evidence that the cloth had been mended multiple times before being repurposed. It shows a profound culture of reuse and recycling, born from an understanding of the value of materials. In a world without mass production, every object was imbued with the value of the labor that went into it. Nothing was wasted. A piece of cloth was a store of wealth and effort, to be used and reused until its very last fibers served a final, essential purpose. To fully grasp this, we have to understand the world in which these wicks were lit. The Intermediate Bronze Age was a period of dramatic social upheaval. It marks the collapse of the first great urban era in the region. For centuries before, the Levant was home to large, fortified city-states with complex economies and powerful rulers. But around 2200 BCE, this system fell apart. Major cities were abandoned. The population dispersed, shifting to smaller villages and a more nomadic lifestyle. The leading theory points to a massive climate change event, a period of severe drought that undermined the agricultural base supporting the big cities. This was a world in transition, a society adapting to new and harsh conditions. And it's in this context that the Nieuwe Ephraim Cemetery is so important. The sheer size of it suggests that even without big cities, people maintained strong community bonds and shared cultural traditions. The act of burying the dead with offerings, including lamps to light their way, was a ritual that endured through the collapse. It shows that the people living in this supposed dark age were not unsophisticated. They were resilient, adaptive, and carried on the traditions that gave their lives meaning. This brings us to the final and perhaps most profound question. Why were these lamps placed in the tombs? The soot found on the wicks gives us a definitive answer. They were lit. On a practical level, the lamps would have illuminated the dark, underground burial shafts during the funeral. But their significance ran much deeper. Across the ancient world, fire was a sacred and powerful symbol. It represented purity, transformation, and a bridge between the physical and spiritual worlds. In a burial, the flame of a lamp held a particularly potent symbolism. The excavation team points to a belief that echoes through many cultures, and even to this day, the connection between fire and the human soul. The modern Hebrew term, Ner Neshama, or flame of the soul, used for memorial candles, likely has roots that stretch back thousands of years. The Bible itself uses this metaphor in Proverbs. The soul of man is a lamp of God. For the people of the Bronze Age, the afterlife was often imagined as a gloomy underworld. Placing a lit lamp in a tomb was a final, poignant gift to the deceased. It was a source of light to guide them on their journey into the unknown, a spark of warmth in a cold resting place, and a powerful symbol of the enduring spirit that had departed the body. It represented life, memory, and the continuation of the soul beyond death. So, a single 4,000-year-old lampwick, preserved by a quirk of geological fate, has woven together an incredible story. It's a story of ingenuity, revealing a mastery of materials from the complexity of linen to the simple genius of the oil lamp. It's a story of resilience, showing a society that endured collapse and practiced a profound culture of sustainability where a precious textile was used, mended, and recycled for a final, sacred purpose. And most of all, it's a story of shared humanity, connecting us across 4 millennia to the universal experience of confronting mortality. In the flickering flame of that simple lamp, we see a reflection of our own search for meaning, our desire to honor the dead, and our hope for a light that endures in the deepest darkness. The humble wick, designed to be consumed by fire, has instead survived to illuminate our understanding of the past in a way we never thought possible.